In the somewhat recent lore developments in Warcraft's narrative, Sylvanas, the Banshee Queen, abandoned her people, the Forsaken, kind of leaving them to figure out what to do after their beloved queen, well, forsook them. They solved this by having a council of leaders, but also Calia Menethil was introduced in the story. But who is Calia Menethil? Why is she important? What is her story? Is she undead? Why does she look like that? Answers to most of these questions are either told to us in books or quests that are difficult to find in-game. So let's dive deep into a brief summary of this new significant character. Calia Menethil is the eldest child of King Tyrannus Menethil, and is the older sister of the infamous Arthas Menethil. Now, despite her being older, Prince Arthas was still going to take the throne instead of her. In her younger years, around 16, Calia was going to be forced to marry a noble named Deval Prestor. You know, she's royalty, and there's political reasons to marry someone from another noble group. But the weird thing is, well, Deval Prestor was actually Deathwing in disguise. There's a dragon that has lived for over 10,000 years, and he's trying to marry a 16-year-old girl.
That's kind of
Thankfully, their marriage was never finalized when other aspects teamed up to beat the crap out of Deathwing during the Battle of Grim Patol, and he had to retreat. Later in life,
that happened.
Perhaps out of an act of defiance, Calia would marry a lowly footman and have a daughter with him. But neither of these characters have ever been given a name in the lore. Calia's husband and her child would live their lives away from Lordaeron, and her daughter
I love the way Platinum does these videos. It's just so stupid sometimes what he comes up with.
Never know the birthright she has to the kingdom of Lordaeron.
Oh, the battle from the city?
Which is probably a good thing, because during the Third War, Lordaeron was invaded by the Scourge, and Calia's brother, Arthas, murdered their father and brought the kingdom to ruin.
We all know
Calia
this.
fled the South Shore and was reunited with her family, and they lived happily ever after the end.
Oh, okay.
No, of course it isn't that easy. Later on during the war, South Shore was bombed with blight, and Calia had to flee and was separated by her family once again.
Oh gosh. Okay. I see what was up. Oh.
Hello.
Calia then bumps into Alonzus Fowl, who was formerly the Archbishop of the Church of the Holy Light. He explains to Calia that he is an undead called a Forsaken, who have retained their human consciousness after being raised into undeath. Now here's the thing, the Scourge and the Forsaken are two totally different things. One side are evil zombies possessed by the Lich King. The other side are sometimes evil zombies who are formerly the living citizens of Lordaeron.
I mean, don't they both? Yeah, they both kind of do really bad shit all the time. I feel like. I mean, regardless of if it's Forsaken or the Scourge.
So ignore the fact that later on in history it was the Forsaken that wiped South Shore off the map with the exact same type of chemical warfare.
Dude, they love their chemical warfare, man. Like it's all the time, man. Something happens like really big lore-wise. The Forsaken comes in and they just like bomb everything with their like poisons and shit. Forsaken has done crazy things for sure. I mean, it's a World of Warcraft after all, right? It's not World of let's be happy friends and you know, hug and be boys, right? Doom of the Stream, thank you for the 8 months. The slime pipes are flowing again.
You know, I'm sure they had some sort of explanation for the mass murder of innocents. Ignore that, okay? They're people too. Anyways, Alonzus and Calia become friends, and when we jump forward to the Legion expansion, Calia Menethil has learned to become a priest, and this is her first time appearing in game. She's a part of the Priest Order Hall, but her story really doesn't develop that much from here.
That's crazy how, like, Arthas' sister, like, just never got any, like, stuff apart from, like a side quest in, like, a... What are these? Order halls, whatever the heck?
Story really doesn't develop that much from here.
That's crazy.
In fact, the first big push to really give Calia any sort of characterization was in the Before the Storm novel, a novel that bridges the gap between the Legion and Battle for Azeroth expansion. In this novel, Calia develops a friendly relationship with King Anduin Wrynn of the Alliance.
But why does she look like... Okay, I mean, he's probably gonna get to that. I get it's something to do with the Forsaken, I guess?
And they organize an event called The Gathering. Now, the Gathering is a peaceful summit between the humans and their risen Forsaken relatives, who are now a part of the Horde.
Wow.
The two worked to negotiate this event with Sylvanas Windrunner, leader of the Forsaken and current war chief of the Horde at the time. Keep in mind, this was before the Fourth War, so Sylvanas isn't super crazy just yet.
It's a work in process.
The Gathering was negotiated as a 12-hour ceasefire in Arathi Highlands in a field between Stromgarde and Thoradin's Wall.
Oh no,
the meeting would be heavily monitored by both sides to ensure no funny business was going on.
Yeah.
And the whole thing gave Calia hope for her people. You see, Calia had no intention on securing her birthright and becoming the Queen of Lordaeron. All she wanted was for her people to prosper, whether they be living or Forsaken. She attended the Gathering in a hooded disguise and was blessing humans and Forsaken alike. Although her disguise wasn't really that well done, and some of the Forsaken realized that she is Calia Menethil, the princess and now would-be queen of the Kingdom of Lordaeron when they were alive. Sure, they have allegiance to the Banshee Queen, but this is their living royalty for light's sake. And the Forsaken that realize Calia's true identity just start walking towards Stromgarde where the Alliance were stationed.
Oh, they're pissed.
This inspires Calia, and in an act of passion, she removes her disguise and rallies for all of the Forsaken to defect to the Alliance. So they can all be free from the Banshee Queen's tears.
I have no time for games.
This funny business totally goes against the rules of the Gathering. I mean, there's specifically a clause.
Wait, no funny business, no weapons, stay chill, blah blah, subscribe if you read this, pee pee poo poo.
That states no funny business, and Calia just broke it. Speaking of which, after Sylvanas killed Calia...
Wait, was there... 4, 5, 4. Yeah, he didn't put 6.
Business, and Calia just broke it. Speaking of which, after Sylvanas killed Calia, she then killed all of the Forsaken practicing in the event.
Oh, shit.
Even the ones fleeing back to the Banshee Queen.
Let none survive.
What a bitch.
She did this because she didn't want uncertainty of their loyalty brewing within the Forsaken, and it was much easier just to kill the Forsaken citizens involved in the Gathering. It's important to point out that the Dark Rangers only massacred their own civilians, not a lot
well that makes it fine.
Soldiers, as that went against the Gathering's rules.
Yeah, I mean, we can't kill others, but I guess we'll just kill all our own. That's fine. Good stuff.
Well, except for one particular funny business in acting human. After the massacre, Anduin was quick to recover Calia's body and delivered her to the Netherlight Temple. Then, Anduin, Alonzus, and a Naru named Sara then used their holy light powers to resurrect Calia as a light-infused undead. Because, apparently, that can happen.
Yep.
The light forcibly pulled her spirit back into her now-possessed body, which is different from normal resurrection. She is now an undead like her people. It's just that her version of being undead doesn't make you a disgusting, rotting zombie person. Huh. How convenient.
Why didn't they just res her normally? I mean, I don't know how it works in lore with resing people. I mean, in the game you can just res, I guess, but maybe it's like different in lore, like you're not able to do it the same way. I don't know.
Goal of helping guide her people would not happen until midway through the Battle for Azeroth expansion, when Sylvanas...
Maybe they don't know how it works either, right? They literally do it in the BFA cinematic. Yeah, maybe that's because they're resing unimportant people. You know, like... You know, you can't... If you're, like, important, you can't be resed. You know, I mean, maybe, yeah, I think it's just, like... It's not really a thing, right? People, like, in lore, maybe they don't res people, right? It's like a gameplay thing, right? I think that's kind of the direction we're going with it. Like, it's not really like a lore thing that you can res. It's more just so for gameplay. Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. Like, it's a video game after all, right?
Fully abandoned the Horde and the Forsaken to go to her own...
The 5-second rule! Shut up.
...diabolic plans in the Shadowlands. During this time, Calia works with Lillian Voss, a prominent Forsaken figure, to assist her people.
Yeah.
Next time we see Calia, she's standing around in Oribos in the Shadowlands expansion.
Cool.
Not really doing much, just hanging out.
Just there.
The expansion ends, and then she helps assist the Forsaken to reclaim Lordaeron after it was covered in blight during the Fourth War in the Battle for Azeroth. This process involves going to Maldraxxus in the Shadowlands, learning how blight works, and how necromancy is not necessarily death magic. Necromancy can be practiced by any of the schools of magic in the Warcraft universe. Hence why she's a light-infused undead. After Lordaeron and the Undercity are reclaimed, she later joins the Desolate Council, a group of Forsaken who are now the new leaders of the faction, and Calia worries about how the Forsaken may never really accept her. You know, her being a beautiful light-forged undead, and also being the sister of Arthas Menethil, you know, the one that turned them all into undead in the first place.
Few things.
Yeah, she's kind of got a lot of baggage. After Alliance players participate in the questline to reclaim Lordaeron, Calia sends a letter on the behalf of the Desolate Council to Genn Greymane.
King Greymane. The ally you sent to aid us was most effective. In return for your patience, I offer a gesture of goodwill. With the formation of the new Desolate Council, one of the first topics I intend to discuss is the withdrawal of Forsaken troops from Gilnean lands. This effort will take time, but I believe that we will come to an accord, and that both our kingdoms will see a brighter future.
He's not gonna want to do it, is he? Oh, he is?
In fact, Calia's goodwill would be stretched even further during the Dragonflight expansion, where the Forsaken helped the Gilneans reclaim their city, which is now currently inhabited by the Scarlet Crusade. And they helped them because, there's cross-faction gameplay now, so we all need to be nice to each other, and the Horde need to interact with this content update too. Also, Tess Greymane, Genn Greymane's daughter, is now the new leader, and convinces her father that the Forsaken, they're actually not that bad, and they can be trusted too.
Bro, there's literally a guy hanging. Oh yeah, they're cool, man. They're chilling. Don't worry about that. It's like a Christmas ornament.
Calia is a character that I think has a decent groundwork, but needs a lot of development in the future story of Warcraft, along with a more intertwined relationship with the Forsaken. Since the most pivotal moment of her story, along with a total reframing of what it even means to be undead, is done in a book and then has struggled to be explained in-game, I think it leaves a lot of sour tastes in people's mouths. Also, she has to live up to the Forsaken's former leader, Sylvanas, who, let's be frank, had quite the controversial story development in the recent lore, but she's also one of the most iconic and beloved characters in the series.
By some,
Calia being compared to a character that has existed since Warcraft 3, well, yeah, it's kind of hard to live up to that legacy.
I just didn't even know she existed before now. To be fair though, I am not like a giga WoW lore nerd. Some people that like really are into the WoW lore, like read the books, definitely knows about this, but I didn't know that she even existed.
The crux of
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that Arthas had a sister.
Personality being all about wanting to be accepted by the Forsaken and leading them to a prosperous future and be friendly to every other faction, even their mortal enemies, is a bit bland too. This defanging of previous faction rivalries is something that has been happening ever since cross-faction gameplay became a thing, and I think it hemorrhages the flavor of all of the main factions in the setting for the purpose of gameplay reasons. But really, this is a whole topic that I think deserves its own video.
I think for retail though, it's fine that they had the cross-faction in terms of gameplay, but in terms of lore and stuff, it can be really confusing, I suppose, right? Calia would be cool if she burned down Amitrasil. Hey man, what are you saying here, Bluefoot?
Calia is a character that I hope to see in the main story in Warcraft's future, and is developed further than the groundwork they have laid today. I don't know, give me a character arc of her struggling and helping guide the Forsaken as a force of good, despite them being totally uninterested in the concept. Like, give me a scene where she's like, Apothecary Death Spew, I've told you for the 10th time today, stop kidnapping gnomes for your blight experiments. I'm trying to work on peace negotiations with the Alliance, and you're ruining everything.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Interesting video though. I think it's cool that Platinum WoW is doing all these like characters and like telling stories about them that people don't know about, and he's doing it in an interesting way that you can understand, right? That's good shit.